In the vast wilderness of Montana's Helena National Forest, where towering pines whisper ancient secrets and mountain streams carve through pristine valleys, a family's worst nightmare unfolded on a seemingly perfect summer day in 1983. A 4-year-old girl with bright eyes and an infectious laugh vanished into thin air, leaving behind a mystery that would haunt investigators for decades. Hey, true crime fans, before we dive deeper into this chilling case, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Join our community of truth seekers as we explore some of history's most perplexing mysteries. Picture this: June 25th, 1983. The sun hangs high in the Montana sky as families gather for a casual Saturday afternoon in the forest. Children's laughter echoes through the trees near the Mowland Gulch picnic area. Among them is Nyleen Kay Marshall, a precocious 4-year-old with golden brown hair and a pink shirt, playing with other children just 20 feet from adult supervision. At 4 p.m., the unthinkable happens. Nyleen disappears. No screams, no struggle. One moment she's there and the next gone. The adults present, including her stepfather, realize they can no longer hear her voice among the playing children. What follows is a parent's worst nightmare unfolding in real time. The initial search begins immediately. Voices call out Nyleen's name, echoing through the forest. Minutes turn to hours as panic sets in. The picnic area transforms from a place of joy to ground zero of what would become one of Montana's most baffling missing persons cases. Listen, if you're finding this story as compelling as it is disturbing, consider hitting that like button. It helps more people discover these important stories that need to be told. What makes this case particularly chilling is a detail that wouldn't emerge until later. Witnesses reported seeing a man in the area just before Nyleen's disappearance. A stranger who seemed out of place, described as wearing a jogging suit and having reddish-brown hair. But was he connected to the disappearance, or just another visitor enjoying the national forest that day? The response to Nyleen's disappearance was swift and massive. Within hours, the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office mobilized what would become one of the largest searches in Montana history. More than 1,000 people would eventually join the effort. Forest Service personnel, law enforcement officers, volunteer firefighters, and countless community members combed through the dense woodland. Search dogs picked up Nyleen's scent, but lost it near a stream. Helicopters equipped with infrared sensors scanned the forest canopy. Every cabin, mine shaft, and abandoned structure within miles was searched. The beautiful wilderness that had drawn families for peaceful recreation now seemed vast and menacing, potentially hiding crucial evidence of what happened to this innocent child. Before we continue with what happened next in this extraordinary case, take a second to ring that bell icon. You won't want to miss our upcoming episodes featuring more in-depth investigations of cases that changed lives forever. The initial 48 hours of the search were crucial. Temperatures in the Montana wilderness can drop dramatically at night, even in summer. Everyone knew that finding Nyleen quickly was essential for her survival if she had simply wandered off. But as days turned into weeks, hope began to fade, and investigators had to consider a more sinister possibility. Had someone taken Nyleen? The case took an even more disturbing turn when investigators discovered that Nyleen wasn't the first child to go missing in the area. Though previous cases had been resolved, this pattern raised alarming questions. Was there a connection, or was it merely a tragic coincidence? In the months following Nyleen's disappearance, the investigation took a bizarre turn. While her family grappled with their devastating loss, the case suddenly spiraled into something even more sinister. Letters began arriving not just to local law enforcement, but to child find organizations across the country. These weren't your typical anonymous tips. The writer claimed to have Nyleen, and the details they provided were disturbingly specific. They described caring for her, teaching her to read, and even enrolling her in tap dancing lessons. The most chilling part? The writer signed these letters as K. If you're as invested in this case as I am, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Together, we can ensure these stories aren't forgotten. But the letters weren't the only mysterious communication. Phone calls started coming in from a man who claimed to have Nyleen. He would call from different locations across the United States, always being careful to keep his calls under 2 minutes to avoid tracking. This unknown caller shared information that only someone close to the case would know. The FBI's analysis of these communications revealed something fascinating. The letter writer and the caller appeared to be the same person. The vocabulary, speech patterns, and specific details matched. This person demonstrated extensive knowledge about child development and education, leading investigators to believe they might be working in a field related to childcare or education. Before we delve deeper into this mystery, if you're finding value in this investigation, consider hitting that like button. It helps our true crime community grow. In 1985, 2 years after Nyleen's disappearance, the mysterious calls took an even darker turn. The caller began describing acts too disturbing to detail here, claiming they were happening to Nyleen. These calls were traced to phone booths in various cities, including Edmond, Oklahoma, Madison, Wisconsin, and Vancouver, British Columbia. The investigation expanded beyond Montana's borders. The FBI became heavily involved, and Nyleen's case was featured on national television shows, including Adam and Missing. Have you seen this person? Her story touched hearts across the nation, leading to thousands of tips, but none that would crack the case. Here's where things get even more complicated. While investigators were chasing leads from the letters and phone calls, they couldn't ignore other possibilities. The witness accounts of the mysterious jogger in the forest that day continued to haunt them. Was this person connected to the calls and letters, or was it an entirely different thread in this complex web? If you're as fascinated by the investigative process as we are, make sure to ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next in this series. The impact on Nyleen's family was devastating. Her mother, Nancy, never gave up hope of finding her daughter. She worked tirelessly with various missing children organizations, turning her personal tragedy into a mission to help other families of missing children. As our investigation into Nyleen Kay Marshall's disappearance continues, we enter perhaps the most complex chapter of this haunting case. The 1990s brought new hope, but also deeper mysteries that continue to baffle investigators to this day. If you're just joining us on this journey to uncover the truth, be sure to subscribe. Your support helps us continue sharing these important stories that deserve to be told. By 1990, the mysterious phone calls and letters had stopped completely. This sudden silence was as puzzling as the communications themselves. Law enforcement faced a troubling question. Had the perpetrator simply moved on, or was there a more sinister reason for their silence? The case took another turn in 1991 when investigators uncovered a disturbing pattern. They discovered other cases across the country with similar characteristics, young children vanishing from recreational areas, followed by mysterious communications from someone claiming responsibility. The FBI began cross-referencing these cases, searching for connections that might lead them to Nyleen. Each new lead seemed to spawn more questions than answers. The case file grew to include thousands of pages of interviews, tips, and potential sightings. Investigators even explored a possibility that Nyleen's disappearance might be connected to a broader network of crimes, though this theory remained unproven. Here's something that will send chills down your spine. In 1995, a woman in Michigan came forward claiming she had vivid memories of being in Montana as a child. Her description of the area matched the Mowland Gulch picnic site perfectly. For a moment, investigators thought they might have found Nyleen, but DNA testing proved otherwise. This woman's story remains an unexplained piece of this puzzle. If you're finding these revelations as compelling as we do, take a moment to hit that like button. It helps more people discover these unsolved mysteries that still need answers. The case underwent a major review in 2005 when cold case investigators applied new forensic techniques to the evidence. They re-examined witness statements, including the accounts of the mysterious jogger. Modern criminal profiling methods suggested something surprising. The perpetrator likely had intimate knowledge of the area and might have been watching the picnic site for some time before Nyleen's disappearance. The impact of Nyleen's case on missing persons investigations cannot be overstated. It led to significant changes in how law enforcement handles child disappearances in wilderness areas. The case highlighted the crucial need for immediate response and coordination between multiple agencies, lessons that have helped save lives in subsequent cases. Today, Nyleen Kay Marshall would be in her mid-40s. While decades have passed since that fateful summer day in 1983, Her case continues to resonate with investigators and the public alike. If you've been with us through this entire investigation, you know just how many twists and turns this case has taken. But what you might not know is how it continues to impact missing persons investigations, even today. Before we dive into these final revelations, if you haven't already subscribed, now's the perfect moment. Join our community dedicated to keeping these cases alive in public memory. The advent of genetic genealogy and advanced DNA testing has brought new hope to cold cases across the country. In 2015, investigators began re-examining physical evidence from the Mowland Gulch picnic area using these new techniques. While they haven't yet found the breakthrough they're hoping for, the investigation remains active. What's particularly fascinating is how Nyleen's case has become a template for modern wilderness searches. The protocols developed during those intense first days of searching have evolved into standard procedures used by search and rescue teams nationwide. When a child goes missing in a national park or forest today, the response is swift, coordinated, and methodical. Lessons learned directly from the failures and successes of Nyleen's case. The mysterious caller who claimed to have Nyleen was never identified, despite the FBI's extensive efforts. Their profile of this individual suggests someone with significant knowledge of child development, possibly working in education or childcare during the 1980s. The sudden cessation of these calls in the late 1980s remains one of the case's most puzzling aspects. One final like on this video helps keep Nyleen's story alive and might even reach someone with information about the case. The impact on the Helena community has been lasting. The Mowland Gulch picnic area, once a popular spot for families, now stands as a quiet reminder of that tragic day. Local residents still speak of Nyleen, and many of the original search volunteers continue to advocate for missing children's causes. The Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office maintains an active file on Nyleen's case. They regularly review new tips and leads, applying modern investigative techniques to this decades-old mystery. In 2020, they began using artificial intelligence to analyze patterns in the mysterious letters and phone calls, hoping to uncover details that human investigators might have missed. Nancy Marshall, Nyleen's mother, never stopped searching for answers. Her advocacy work has helped countless other families of missing children, turning personal tragedy into a mission of hope and support for others. She worked tirelessly with various missing children organizations until her passing, embodying the determination of parents who refuse to give up hope. Perhaps the most profound legacy of Nyleen's case is how it changed the way we protect our children. The case highlighted vulnerabilities in public recreation areas and led to enhanced security measures in national forests and parks. It also contributed to the development of the Amber Alert system, which has helped recover hundreds of missing children since its implementation. As we conclude this investigation, remember that somewhere, someone knows what happened to Nyleen Kay Marshall. Until that person comes forward, her case remains one of Montana's most haunting mysteries, a reminder that even in the most serene places, vigilance is crucial. If you found value in this exploration of Nyleen's case, please consider sharing it. Sometimes, all it takes is one person seeing the right information to break a case wide open. The search for Nyleen continues. Her case number remains active, and tips can still be submitted to the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Remember, no detail is too small, and it's never too late to come forward with information. This case reminds us that behind every statistic, there's a human story, a family waiting for answers, a community forever changed, and a little girl who deserves justice. Nyleen Kay Marshall may have vanished from that picnic area in 1983, but she will never be forgotten.